Okay, so we're on the Facebook now. Blog Talk. I think we're on the Facebook. I'm not sure. Best. I mean, on Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to call upon my people in front of me now. Anything y'all want to share? Or just trying to just Shahid, anything you want to share this about Savior's Day? Alhamdulillah. I mean, not right now, but she's one of the pounders. I asked anyway. I knew I knew that. Yes, alhamdulillah. So this is a very important day for us, a very important moment for us, for our community, for our advancement and our involvement as people who came from the conditions we came from. And Allah, through His mercy, brought us out of that condition. By His permission, we went into that condition. And He has shaped us, made us, and He's still making us. He's still shaping us. So we have to be very mindful of that and be very patient with the process. A lot of times we don't know the whole process. But we have faith, we have diligence, and keep going forward. So we're going to keep talking to our guests here. We're going to open up the comments and we will begin our conversation. Again, we are going to have our Savior Prayer program. And top of the single eyes and do some learning. And hopefully we can even be various festivals and heal as well. And while we're waiting, I'm going to make a few announcements here. Computer refresh. We are a picture part of a business on the newspaper. We have to continue to promote the paper, promote the paper, promote to the wealth and the website. Whether you get the Scott, Wilson,
But I was going to.
we have our brother girl from the mom. Come on, speak to us about your condition.
Radio listeners, their identity and radio. Just want to say that yes, a position that was given this last time to be grateful is to be as the national spokesman for lifetime subscribers for the Muslim Journal. Most of us know by now, Newark, New Jersey is the new home for the Muslim Journal. And we want to give the Muslim Journal a good start. We want it to be in the black. We don't want it to be in the red. So the more those of us that have the wherewithal to become a lifetime subscriber, it's been the lifeblood of our community for many, many years. It actually contains our principles, our values, our voice. in terms of our perspective, Islamic perspective from the community, Imam David D. Muhammad. So we ask those who have the wherewithal, don't have to pay all the money at one time. You can do it 6 months, or you can do it quarterly and become a lifetime subscriber. And we're even looking at how that can be transferable, especially if those are up in age, like myself, or what, where it can be transferable to a family member or a friend or maybe a community member at all. So for the details in regards to how you can do that, you can contact me direct at 314-435-7213. That's 314-435-7213. And just also want to say that this year's 20th anniversary, the time to be grateful, will be held in Miami, Florida. And there's going to be an acknowledgement of all the lifetime subscribers of the Muslim Journal. So it's like in the Christian church, I think you want to be in that number.
Yes,
if you have that, the wherewithal, please help the Muslim Journal get a good start there in Newark, New Jersey. Well, I guess I've got a few minutes here.
yes, sir.
Might as well tell you about the upbeat. The beat goes on is an upbeat. Here, uprun of what it is that we have here on IWDM Radio. We say praise be to Allah. We now have programming 7 days a week. Yes, that's right, IWDM, 7 days a week, each and every day. That is programming here on IWDM Radio. You're listening Sunday here to the longest running production. It's hosted by a very distinguished Imam, Mikhail Sahir, Words Make People. And you always have very intriguing guests and topics that are pertinent to us as a community. So you can look forward to that each and every Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is high noon Central Standard Time, and it's 10 a.m. Pacific Coast Time, Words Make People. On Monday, we have the very distinguished esteemed, my good brother and friend, Imam Nazim Pasha. He hosts an outstanding production called ABC. That stands for Al-Islam-Based Conversation. On this production, there's a numerous of topics that are given by Imam Pasha from an Islamic perspective. And so this is called Al-Islam-Based Conversation. That means that all that are tuned in and listening are invited to chime into the conversation and all. It happens every Monday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Pacific Coast Time, right here on IWDM Radio. Tuesday, the very deep practice Salam has
Mark.
special guest.
Mark.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look, your voice
Yes, sir.
your voice is fading out. It's fading in and fading out.
Okay. Can you hear me or not?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'll speak up. Let me see if I can turn the volume up. I thought I was speaking loud enough, but I can raise it up. Is this better?
Yeah, so like it sounds like you turn your face away from the phone or something.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So on Tuesday we have our very distinguished, esteemed host Rashid Salam and his off-returning guest, instructor Abdul Shahid. And they're looking to do more in 2024. And now their production is the science of your health and wealth learning lab. This is a learning lab where they talk about and give you good information, education on the science of your health, and also in terms of being healthy financially. That should be raise your eyebrow, because everybody should want to be healthy financially. There's a lot of great information that's given on this platform. It happens each and every Tuesday right here on IWDM Radio. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's 6 p.m. Central and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time here on IWDM Radio. Wednesday, that means it's time for the Parenting and Family Reconstruction Learning Lab with Dr. Patricia Sloan, Dean out of Miami, Florida. Just want to say that there should be a hiatus in terms of 2 months. She's going to be away from us, as she will be in Medina and being on Ramadan in Medina with her daughter and her son-in-law in Medina. And so she'll be back with us somewhere around by April the 24th, I believe it is, that she looked to return back to the airways at IWDM Radio. But don't fear, Rashid Salam will be here with me on the Parenting Family Reconstruction Learning Lab. That's where we talk about what is correct parenting from an Islamic perspective and how to reconstruct the destructive family life. That happens each and every Wednesday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's 6 p.m. Central and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time, right here on IWDM Radio. And it's a double header on Wednesday because after that, it is the MGM Roundtable. That stands for the Muslim Global Message Roundtable, hosted by yours truly, Mark Shahid. As I like to bring and present to you very distinguished, esteemed guests inside of our community. Our community is the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad, and also other guests that's not in the Muslim community and looking to do more in 2024. I'll be taking on topics that are pertinent to us as a community. So that's each and every Wednesday starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific Coast Time, right here on IWDM Radio. Thursday is the sister learning lab to the Parenting Family Reconstruction Learning Lab, and that is the Courtship and Marriage Learning Lab that's going on 8.5 years, starting with our sister station all the way back 2015, October 13, 2015 is when Allah blessed me to start that learning lab. It's still growing strong here on IWDM Radio with Khalila Akbar, our co-host. And we're winding down on my personal true love recipe. And we've been having outstanding married couples that have been married for quite some time, different marriage narratives that they've shared with us. It happens each and every Thursday evening, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time, right here on IWDM Radio. Friday is Salatul Jummah Day, Muslim worldwide, and those who are immobilized can't get out and about. You can come back to IWDM Radio with email Michael, a.k.a. Mikhail Sahir, from Nur Islamic Center, and it happens each and every Friday afternoon, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 11 a.m. Pacific Coast Time, right here on IWDM Radio. Last but not least, our latest production on Saturday is the Muslim Book Reading Club. That's right. It's the Muslim Book Reading Club. And excellent selection for our first book reading is on our Honorable First Lady and Mother of our community. It's a 2-volume book, and we're now on the second book, and that is titled Sister Clara Evans Muhammad, the Mother of Our Nation. This is a book, once you pick it up, it's hard to put down. It's kind of hard to stop because you want to just continue to read, but there's a time that is read for about 35, 40, 45 minutes. The lines are open up for commentary, insight from the listeners that tune in and listen in. And it happens each and every Saturday here on IWDM Radio, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's high noon Central and 10 a.m. each and every Saturday afternoon, right here on IWDM Radio. So you're listening live today
Yes, sir.
to make people. And so I hope that by this time your guests are coming. If not, I wanted to share something that Imam Muhammad gave us, as a student in the 666. And it's not by accident
Yes, sir.
that 666 is in the Quran. the guests have arrived. So
No, well, we
back
got
to you,
some
Brother
here.
Imam. Assalamu alaikum.
No, go ahead, make your comment, please.
Oh, okay. Alhamdulillah. You know, just as Imam Mikhail Sayer has said, those that was in the Christian faith and all of that, we had heard that 666 represented the mark of the beast. It's the mark of the beast. And, you know, and so my family was in his Baptist and everything. Used to go to church, you know, and actually they let me start teaching Sunday school. I just say I could read then and everything, but always very astute. So the mark of the beast became the mark that that was left on us as a people, and that mark of the beast actually is symbolic of what Prophet Ibrahim left in the Kaaba when it was reported that he was the one that destroyed all the false idols, but he left the big one. So what was the big one? The big one was the false idea, the false concept that man could be God. Man could be God. It's similar to the mark of the beast because they left that marker impression upon us that Christ Jesus could be God in the flesh. That was the mark of the beast. And oftentimes it's not looked upon that, but that was the mark or the influence that was left impacted upon the people. Imam W.D. Muhammad taught us in class that the Quran, Al-Quran, is commentary on the book that came before it. So when you look at 666, it's not by accident. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was guided in terms of the organizational structure of the Quran as we have it. We know that the lifetime of the prophet, that revelation came to him different places, different times, different situations and circumstances. So 666, when it says, save yourself and save your family, you know, from a fire that is fueled with men and stone. So much in that, but I'll just simply say this, is that what will save the individual, yourself, will save your family. Now, of course, charity starts at home and spreads abroad. So with a better open understanding, we have to know what is it that saves the human being. It is being God conscious. Imam Muhammad gave us the translation in terms of taqwa. Translated as being God conscious, or being consciously regardful of God's word, will, and way. This program is called Words Make People, and Imam Mikhail Sayer always say each and every time he's airing on here, the best word to make people is the word of Al-Quran. Okay, so to adhere to God's word, in which God's will is embodied in God's word, and also the way that Allah wants us to live, and we get the demonstration in the life of his Rasul, his messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what saves the human being is to be obedient to God's word, you see.
Yes, sir.
And it's very important to know that what will save one human being will save all of humanity. It starts with your own family, but you have to see it spreading to the whole entire family of humanity. And so that is what it is that God wants to say, because look, Allah does not give us something as in command form. It's in the Arabic in command form. I can't remember it,
Yes,
but
sir.
it's in command form. It's like God giving a order, save yourself, save your family. But it contradicts what was said and what was taught in Christianity.
Yes, sir.
That Christ Jesus said, nobody, no man is way they would save us and also save our family. I found that God's word, the devil's word, helpful to everyone and the family.
We'll go ahead and get started here. I think it's way past time. So we're going to we have two of our panelists here. We ask them to come forward. Amir Shabazz. She'll be here in a second. So we begin with your assistant. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We gather today for our annual Savior's Day program. Looking forward to an exciting panel discussion from our sisters, and of course, interaction from you, our guests, our listeners. Today's topic is Savior's Day through the eyes of our sisters. And we're going to just have a little comment on the importance of Savior's Day and the history of it and how it evolved over the many years or generations. Savior's Day began as a recognition of a person, of an individual, Mr. W.B. Farrar. That's how it began, recognizing Amen. And so the Savior's Day is spelled with apostrophe, then the S, which we know in English they're saying ownership. Savior's Day belongs to just one man. And it's important to note that the way they were spelling Savior was the British spelling for the U. All this is significant. You should understand the progress of this title, Savior's Day. Because we found as time went on that Mr. Farrar was not from Mecca, as he claimed. He was from India, who was under the control of the British. So you can see why they have a British spelling. The Savior, S-A-V-I-O-U-R. The American spelling doesn't have it. And as that name evolved, and as the community evolved, in particular, when Muhammad became he changed it. I know some of you all may remember, a lot of people have forgotten. Almost some of our more seasoned Muslims here may remember. For about 2 years, good name. This is a good description.
We'll take it.
You take it. You talk Turkish, right?
I know.
So, who recalls the name that the man first changed Savior's Day? It was called Survival Day. Vaguely? Savior's Day. Changed to Survival Day. It was done that way for a couple of years, then it just transitioned out. And for a number of years, we didn't have Savior. It's important to note, I first heard this in 2003, to where even Mr. Farrakhan, he made a change. He kept the U, but he moved the apostrophe after the S. So what does that do to the word? It make it all of our ownership, right? If it's apostrophe S, it belongs to one person or one entity. So you made an S apostrophe, then you're saying we all have to be about the business of saving our people. So now, Imam Muhammad, he advanced it further. He took the apostrophe and the S off completely. It says Savior Day, Savior Day. And he says, listen to it, it's saying save your day. You get busy, you save you're like Y-O-U-R,
Right.
save your day. And so it was a evolution of thought of making us dependent upon one person, one man. That's not true Islamic democracy. They have to be dependent upon one man. What about Muhammad the Prophet? What does the Quran say? Muhammad, you're not the father of any of them. You're not to manage their affairs. You're the messenger of Allah, but you're not their wakil, their manager of their affairs. You're not their father. You're not their dad. Teach them the religion, show them the way. So even in Al Islam, the prophet is not Muhammad ibn Abdullah. It's not to be our savior. Allah put it in all of us to be a savior, and that's how the language evolved. Originally, looking at Mr. Farad, to bring it to the collective, and also to bring it home to the individual. And just the business of saving yourself, and if we just read in the Brother Marshall, he just emphasized in chapter 66, verse 6. It tells you right there. Yeah, did I know who are Fusico or Abdicum? Save yourselves. This is where we are now. So we're going to listen to our beloved sisters. I think it's a good idea. I don't know. We heard about Savior's Day from, I think, every perspective except probably the most important perspective. It never be Savior's Day through the eyes of our brothers and sisters. So you can say, you see, I can handle the mic. Put this phone in front of you so I can hear you on the internet. But we're going to talk to our sisters here. We're going to go with these news too. I got to ask you, you not playing that?
No, we did not.
No, we did not. I was gonna tell her that.
Okay, I just curious. I mean,
Great mind think alike.
brains or something.
We need our third person.
Yeah.
Third person.
She's here.
He's here. Okay. Introduce yourself to the people. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have done it. See, I
You just
know.
want to, put it in the back.
Our first distinguished speaker, Sister Linda Mentor, Linda Nagy, I remember. She's been a Muslim in the first. You can tell them about your experiences. And I've known you to be a faithful, dedicated Muslim nonstop since known you as a Muslim. I knew you before Muslim. You were younger. I knew you then. Soon after you were Muslim, haven't missed a beat. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, with a sister Linda Mentor. Give us a little bit about who you are and your comment for today.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum to all of my brothers and sisters who are listening. I pray, inshallah, that Allah will bless me to say all the things that I was thinking of the other day. You know, when you're going to when you're asked to sit on a panel, you think, oh my God, what am I gonna say? Should I try to go ahead and write something up, or what? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? After Fajr prayer, after Isha prayer, while you're sitting there by yourself, all of a sudden you think of all the wonderful things you want to say while you're sitting on a panel. So you all should have been with me a week ago when I had all these wonderful thoughts, and now I'm sorry they're probably all gone. But he was saying that I should tell you a little about myself. And I don't know where to start with that in terms of the fact that at this stage of my life, what they say that, you should not allow the past to dictate your future, but the past is what I know that has happened. I am living in the future, in the present, and I have no idea what the future holds. Right. I just know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. But I was thinking, I said, wonder what I'm supposed to do with that thought. And I thought reflections. And then I thought about the fact that as you get older, you really begin to understand some of the things that you learn. And I think about the fact that, alhamdulillah, I was blessed to reconnect with who my ancestors were. I don't like the term that they put on us when they label us, what is it, converts or whatever. That to me just doesn't fit my spirit. So I refuse to acknowledge that statement. Because had slavery not occurred, I would still be in my African country doing exactly what I'm doing now. And that's worshiping the only God that exists, seen and unseen, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I reflect, because that's all I can think of is the reflections of all that I've gone through. And I remember the days of the nation. And over the years, I've had people say, oh, did you really believe the things you were taught? And all these other interesting questions. And I can remember, when I was younger and more fiery than I am now. Now I'm just older and I don't know what you call our fire now, but I should say this. When we seasoned people at this stage of our life, before we used to try to cover up or try to be kind, we just say what we think. So you can either take it or leave it. And I am so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing me to have gone down the path of being in the nation. Why do I say that? Because in reflecting, all I can think of is a glass. A glass. You got a clean glass and you got a dirty glass. And what do? Which one do you want to drink out of? And I think of the fact that before whatever we thought as Islam doing the nation, that I, in fact, was a dirty glass. Why is that? Because one of the things that slavery did was it disconnected me and my ancestors from the God that we worshiped. So in doing that, we started doing things that was not the things that we as a people do. And our condition, think about it. The 20s and the 30s, the effects of slavery, we thought we were worthless human beings because we had been taught that from the day that we came here to Americas, or whatever this place was called, because trust me, it was not called the USA at that time. And we've since learned that. And I think about the fact that I followed in the footsteps of so many of us. And I think about how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, looking at where we were and being blessed, even with who W.D. Fard was, and I think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how the design was to get us where we are today. And all I can think of is that we were a people who didn't have a clue to who we were. And being in a nation, we were cleaned up. We went from a dirty glass to a clean glass. And in being a clean glass, we were then ready to understand Islam. People keep trying to make it a religion. I'm so sorry. Islam is not a religion. It is a way of life. And unless you understand that, You will never go forward in this life in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to go through. It's not a membership, so stop trying to pay dues. That's not what zakat is. It is a way of life. So it doesn't matter what building you are in, it's what's in your heart, your actions. Because I remember my brother saying, witches cover. Okay, so what does that say? That says that if your actions are not in accordance with the way that you're supposed to be, then it does not matter. If you're robbing a bank in an hijab, what does that say about you? And all I can think of is reflect on the things that we were taught. We were taught to be the best. And I'm going to pass it on to my two sisters, but there is something, when I think of Savior's Day, it reminds about the nation. I think of all the things we were taught. We were taught to do for self. We have been denied ownership of not only property of ourselves, physical property, the things that we knew when we were in Africa, because we were business people in Africa. There were things that we did. The nation brought us back. That training brought us back to get us from that dirty glass to that clean glass. And the only thing I'm sorry about for myself, I can only speak for me, is that being in that clean glass and ready for Islam, I didn't understand that, like a chameleon, when they shed their skin is shed because that's a part of nature, but you have to understand what's also left behind. I shedded all of my skin instead of keeping the things that I still needed to bring with me going forward, because I understood I needed to do for self. But for some reason, when I started trying to learn Islam, thinking it was a religion and, the different little steps and the rituals, not realizing now at this stage of my life, okay, that's rituals and that's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. And especially with Ramadan coming up, because we seem to have more emphasis, I know I do, on the fasting and forgetting that if you're fasting and you're nasty to people, how are you being blessed?
Right.
I'm just sorry that when I shed my skin, I shed the things that I should have kept with me going forward, and because I think I would have understood this way of life better. You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum assalam.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praises due to Allah. I'm Sister Hamida Shabazz. I've been in Indianapolis for about 20 years now. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, a little hick town that we used to call the Second Mayberry. And I didn't know anything about Islam, Black history, or anything. And when the brothers started coming around teaching us about Islam, it was so weird, you know. Who is this Elijah Muhammad? Who is this guy? And so me and my husband, we were married young. I got married when I was 16. He was 17. He just recently passed away. I was married for 53 years, almost 54. And we came into Islam together. But at the time we came into Islam, there was a lot of turbulence in the country during the 60s, during the time when Dr. King got assassinated. I was in Detroit. They was burning Detroit down. My father came and got me. We came back home. And I had all these questions in my mind, you know, being introduced to Islam, just hearing about Dr. King, never knew about any of this. So I was just full of questions. But one thing that really bothered me, when I was 12 years old, we went to church. We had to go to church every Sunday. But my parents never went. They always sent us to church. I wonder why they wanted us to go to church. They didn't want to go. But when it got time, my father's told us we could get baptized just before we got 13 years old. And he came to me and he said, "How many do you want to get baptized?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I don't believe that." Because I told my mother and father when I was a very young girl, I'm going to know God one day. And I did. I know Allah. But alhamdulillah, we came through that position and we started studying. And we went to Chicago every Sunday listening to. I didn't listen to Honorable Elijah Muhammad that much. I started listening to Islam under Imam Muhammad. I read a lot of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's literature, but I really never really sat under him. I sat under Imam Muhammad. And what I learned in Islam, the thing that brought me to Islam was the love of self. I think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was one of the greatest social reformers to ever live because he taught us to love self. We weren't ready for to know who Allah was because we didn't know who we were. So we had to be taught self first. And once we learned who we were, then we were ready to know who. And I want to say something to everybody in here. I don't care who you are, what you know, you can never comprehend Allah totally. You can't comprehend him because he's omnipresent. He is the creator of all the worlds, even the ones that we don't know about. Allah is the Lord of all those worlds. And that's what brought me to Al Islam, knowing that a white man can't save me, I got to save myself, and that we all are responsible for our own salvation. Anytime you're looking for somebody to save you, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. The greatest thing that the Honorable Man King Muhammad gave me was self-direction. We got all the guidance that we need right within ourselves in the Quran. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was given to us to bring us back to how and why Allah created us. And I'm just so grateful that Allah made me Muslim. I'm thankful that I could be pass this knowledge on. And what's so troubling to me nowadays is that our young people are lost. And we got to try to bring them back because that's our future. And if we don't do it, ain't nobody else gonna do it.
Thank you. Salam alaikum. Carolyn here. I have lived in Indianapolis for over 50 years. I come from Muncie, Indiana. In 1972, I converted to Al Islam, and by way of friends of mine. So it has been a good journey. I didn't look back or think about what I was losing. I know I was gaining so much. So I appreciate this opportunity. So our topic was I had taken some notes about the Savior Day. I reflect back on before where we had Al Islam as we do now today in America, because we all came from other beginnings. All looked up to other people who were here, who had done things before us. So I reflected on them, knowing other people are grandmothers, aunties, grandfathers, and other people. So I reflected back on, I thought about strong women, the life of strong women in Al Islam. Not only in Al Islam, but the history of the United States. So I focused on, one was Ida B. Wells. She lived from 1862 to 1931. And she had a career as a teacher and a journalist. In 1899, she wrote in the Memphis paper. She's a publisher. She spoke out against treatment to Black people, and she was activist. She spoke against lynching, which almost cost her her own life. She had to flee. The next one I focused on was Mary McLeod, 1875 to 1955. She developed in Daytona, Florida, a school for girls, which is very important because back there in those days, education, we weren't able to go to school freely as everyone else. And the next one, comes to mind is Sojourner Truth, fighting against, fighting for women's rights from birth of 1795 to her death in 1883. Another person that comes to mind is Clara Evans Muhammad. Became Muslim when she met her husband in 1930 to 1972. She's the wife of Elijah Muhammad, mother of W.D. Muhammad, and six more children. The Nation of Islam. When her husband was sent to jail, she had to step up and be a leader in the Nation of Islam. She also was raising her children. Without her help, helping her husband, Elijah Muhammad, no telling where Al-Islam would be today. She was a strong woman. She had, without her husband, raised her children, and carried the load of the Nation of Islam. I don't know how many people could carry that load financially and being keeping people from doing harm to her and her children. Uh, Coretta, these three women I want to link together. Coretta Scott King, Debbie Shabazz, and I think Marion Evans. I think that was Medgar Evans' wife. The three of them lost their husband at a very young age. They also had children to raise, to take care of. And the tragic death of their husbands, they had to bear that burden and keeping their children safe so they can grow up to be strong children. They also had bound each other. They leaned on each other for strength. And they had a friendship up to the time they passed away. A lot of people didn't know that. They were friends all these years. The next person comes to mind is Michelle Obama in the White House. She's being judged for her looks, for how she spoke. She had a campaign while she was in the White House. She cared about children, for the good of the children, to eat a healthy diet. Among other things, most of all being of a mother and what she wore, where she shopped, like Target wasn't good enough. They criticized her for that. For some people, how her hair was seemed to be more important than what she was doing. She was a strong woman. She had to protect her children. She had to be criticized, take the criticism of other people. People who didn't want to even try to get to know her. And she was not deterred. She was determined to make it a better world for herself, children, and the nation. She cared about all people. Next come to mind is President of the League of Muslim Women, Sister Zahira Muhammad Al-Amin. She founded the International League of Muslim Women in 1980, which she brought sisters across the nation together for a purpose, a cause, to serve, to be charitable, to think about other things other than themselves, take care of other folks and children. And she also make sure that W.D. Muhammad had a support of the women. And he respected that. And she was also a mother who cared for her children. Assalamu alaikum. She has passed away. Yes, I'm finished. So thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum.
I wanted to mention something about the status of the Muslim woman. Um, Islam brought a level of respect to the Muslim woman that we hadn't seen before. I know before I accepted Islam, the treatment that I got from people and men in particular is totally different after I embraced Islam. And I thank Allah for that because as women, we have always been subjects. And then when Al Islam came, he removed that. And Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, he was the original liberator because he came to liberate not only women, but mankind from the ills and ignorance that we were suffering from. And the disrespect, excuse me, that women have to endure was just brutal. And I was just so grateful that Al-Islam brought us out of that and made us respectable women. And then we have those who want to make mockery, and make fun of us. So we just have to keep holding our head up high and know that Allah is going to protect us. And that as long as we project the proper image of Al-Islam, we'll be okay.
So actually, I'm not on the panel. I'm just kind of a mediator here. My name is Sister Shaki, and I'm sister. Oh, no.
Well, let's hear.
Yeah. My name is Sister Shaki. I'm so like later aside, but I'm here. Thank you all, sisters, for speaking. We're going to continue this conversation. But Sister Hamida, I was hearing you. Actually, that was one of my questions. How do you handle the criticism of society being a Muslim woman, and you're showcased, as a woman, wearing your scarves, wearing your hijabs out in the world. How do you deal with the criticism out there in the world? I know you say you deal with the criticism, but how do you deal with that criticism?
Well, actually, in recent times, I haven't had any problems. Alhamdulillah, I haven't had any problems recently, but excuse me, when I first accepted Islam and I started covering, there was a lot of people making fun, and you look like a nun, or you look like a raghead, and so I just learned to just ignore them. Then when I did have a confrontation with them, I would always try to drop some seeds of knowledge, so that they could understand why we dress the way we do, and that it's a protection for us. But I haven't had any problem.
Yes, please, everyone.
For those of you who know me, I didn't have that issue. I can remember in the days of the nation, and I remember being on an elevator in a store that's no longer open, and these two Caucasian women looking at me and saying, "Oh, I'm so glad that the nuns can wear colorful habits." And I started laughing, and I thought that was so funny. But the one thing is, I'm sorry, but being a Black woman, I'm sorry, I'm from a family of Black women who dressed. And when I say, because they go to church, they have on the outfits, the hats. But remember, the garments were below their knees. They did not go into the church looking like a one of those. And so I they always laugh at me because everything matches. I said, I didn't have a choice. My mother, my grandma, please, I had to represent, and I was one of those that, and I told the story once before. My aunt, when she was a teenager, she would borrow my mother's clothes. My mother would get angry at her. So, what comes around goes around. So then when I was born and I became a teenager and my aunt liked to dress. So when I needed a pair of turquoise shoes, guess whose closet I would go raid? So, it was what came around going around. But the thing is, we were always supposed to cover, but didn't nobody say you had to look like, okay, somebody, well, yeah, okay, can't say that on this air. But we are African women, and colors and fashion is what we do. So, like I said, all Islam did was we're like a peacock and spreading our feathers. And so, and besides, when we dress like this, we have to represent this. So whether we know consciously or subconsciously, our whole demeanor changes. Because I remember when I became Muslim, I came in there, I remember going into we had clothing factories back then because they had to make our garments because we couldn't go to a store to buy a garment because that's not our garments were not found in the store. And I remember having on my little mini dress, thinking I was all that in a bag of chips. Of course, then again, I probably was all that in a bag of chips, along with being a hot mess. But, then I became Muslim. Yes, and I went through that. You got that rag on here? Yes, I do vaguely remember that, but it was all right because I looked good and I made it look good, which is what we Black women do.
That's right.
And we still make it look good even though we falling apart and everything else.
And a lot of times they will come up to me right now and they say, "Oh, your headpiece is so nice.
Yes.
How do you tie that? Is that a hat?" No.
Yes.
Just material.
I always get compliments.
Yeah.
So you feel like time is changing
Yes, it is.
and more of an acceptance?
Yes, it is.
But our brothers went out. They knew this is a Muslim woman. Y'all don't act like that. They stop cussing when we come around.
That's right.
Myself, coming to Islam and being taught how to dress better, to be more conscious of what you have on and why you're wearing it. Some people, in today's world, when they wear something long, but they don't, it's fashion for them, it's long, but it's an open, there's a split here, split there, and so you really don't have on any clothes, although it's long. So I hadn't, no issues. I enjoy wearing, dress modest. I had no problem with it, but I learned how I should have from the beginning. I can deny, yes, the miniskirt was in, yes, I had one on, and whatever, but when I embraced Islam, I was so comfortable with what I was wearing. So before you had to, check yourself, make sure, not to bend over.
All
right.
So it was so comforting, and I get good comfort. 9/11 came around, you just had people who were respectful, who would say, I like your scarf. Because they, not everybody felt the same way as other folks with 9/11, although 9/11 was a very important date, a very serious date. And we had a lot of people disliking us. But we came through that, and that we are so happy to have a leader, Imam Muhammad, to help us through that. So we have to, look forward, and not so much behind, although you have to carry on what happened and remember and be conscious of who we are and what we are doing and why.
Can you describe your role as a mother, caregiver, um, in this world of society and in Islam, especially in the beginning when you first came in, because like you said that you were from a Christian uh, upbringing, and when you transition and become Muslim, there was a change. I know you might not have had children at the time, but when you had children, can you describe your role, your personal role in your bringing up of your children in regards to this faith that you all are talking about that you have in Islam and who you are as women? You can start whenever you want to start. I know it's kind of something to think about for 2 seconds here, but
For myself, okay, I was single for a while, and then got married, had children. Um, Being a part of what was going on in the schools, I just wasn't going to send my child not be a part of what's going on. I served on the PTA, I volunteered in the classroom, and and it's like one time I wore some blue jeans, and somebody said, "I didn't know you all wore blue jeans." So I said, of course, to cover it. And so, like I said, I volunteered in the classroom and on field trips, and the children got to know me and like me being there. They, wasn't scared of me or anything like that, and they were very friendly. Of course, when you bring treats, that helps too. And also, my son, when they were out playing little league sports and things like that, I was trying to be there. Someone needed a ride home. They did say, "I'm not going to get in the car with that most one." A ride home was a ride home. So that helped, and other parents, accepted by them. And so it helps being out in the public, being who you are, not being loud. You know, when they see me, I always was dressed covered. Sometimes the children in the classroom would ask me, "Why you wear, your scarf and things like that?" So I had no problem.
so you say that your hijab and your way of living was
Like a testimony.
yes, a
Like a
testimony
testimony to my
Dawah.
faith. Yeah.
without virtually having to say anything.
Right.
I was, excuse me, at the time that Carolyn was talking about, understand this was the early 70s. What do you think was around for our children? Nothing. So we were all young and, we're either in college, had completed whatever. So we did what we were supposed to do. We created our own, we worked, but we created our own schools. And I said, that's where do you think the weekend school idea came from? That was what we did. And in the summer, none of us could afford to send our children to camp. And then we were concerned because of the way that it wasn't even just the food, because we could send our children, with their own lunch, but children don't do what they do. But we wanted our children to be around people who had their best interests at heart. And that didn't always happen, because think about it. When I said before about reflections, I looked at the time that everything came into place. W.D. Fard coming, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad coming, Honorable W.D. Muhammad, all of those things, and what was going on in the world. At this time, when our children were born, we had to create our own oasis for our children. And I remember one of the children saying that the one thing being a girl, it was difficult to go to school with her hijab on. And I know there were some children who would go to school and then take it off because they didn't like being teased. And I don't fault them, because we should have been there doing something better. But that's reflection and not knowing what our children were going through, because regardless of what anyone says, children, every generation of children are the same. Did we talk to our parents about stuff? No. So our children didn't talk to us. They talked to each other. And somehow or another, you find out. But I remember all the wonderful things we used to do with our children, in our weekend school. And, some of them would say things. And I always loved the teenagers. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Because that frontal lobe on the women, on the young girls, that's when it's formation, and the young men thinking they all that in a bag of chips because they got that little heavy deep voice. And y'all start getting muscular and y'all start feeling yourselves. We ready to throw you out a window. Yes, but it's good that they were all comfortable to be able to freely say stuff. And then, as adults, we could say, well, you might want to not do that. Here, you might want to do a little few things. So, and we just did what we had to do to protect our children. And I'm so happy that I had my children when I did. I got this grandchildren now. Oh, good God, we won't get on that subject.
So you feel that right now, with the things going on in society, do you feel like we're doing enough? Or do you feel like we need to do more? Do you feel like, we need more help from each other? What is your thoughts on that?
There's one thing that I failed to mention. The one thing, I know a lot of people try to shelter their children, but you cannot shelter your children from the real world because at some point they're going to go out there. And if they're not armored, and I mean, even then, think about it, they're still going to make mistakes, but at least, not to be so naive because the logic doesn't work. And sometimes I know some parents were so rigid with their children, because they cut off everything, no television, no whatever. And so as soon as their children became of age and could leave the house, they ran from Islam. And because we didn't understand how to talk to them, and everything's in moderation. And it's just sad. But then again, reflection, we were still learning ourselves. So, our children watched us make mistakes and I own up to them. Of course, then again, I love telling them, tell that to your therapist. Because you know how you children are. You said, as my second son said, he said, you would get us up in the middle of the night and make us do stuff. He said, I'm still traumatized by that. I said, tell it to your therapist. You know how we tell you how to, what did we tell you? Wash the dishes, vacuum, whatever. And what would you do? What every generation of teenagers did. Forget, because teenagers have amnesia and they can't hear and they can't understand unless it's they're with their friends. So we just have to get it. But all I can say is this set of children, oh God.
For me, it was different. I was from a little small town, Kalamazoo, Michigan. There was no Muslims there at all, no community. So my husband and I, we decided we were just going to start teaching our children ourselves. Because if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? Nobody else was there to do it, so we had to do it ourselves. Then, as I started reading the Quran, I seen where Allah said this earth is spacious. So we got up and we moved to where there was a large Muslim community, but it was really hard for us because we had to isolate ourselves because everybody was drinking and clowning and smoking and fighting and acting a fool. And people went to church, and as soon as they got out of church, they were drinking. So we had to isolate ourselves because we didn't have any outside Muslim community to go to for refuge. So that's why we left Kalamazoo and came here. 20 years now.
Back on the same subject, and the children, at least to know they are a part of this world, and they are free to do things as long as it's good. So we made an effort to take them to places that were free. When the Children's Museum and the zoo was free, we were there. And so things back there in those times were easier for you to take your children to places, because like I said, the zoo is free, museums are free, and that's how, you are a part of this world and you deserve to be in it. You don't have to cow down and feel like, this is not for you. So whatever people were doing, you are a part of it.
I hear a theme here, like you said, creating your own oasis. You were saying that you isolated. But then I also hear that we should be out in the world, taking our children out doing things to that extent. Um, so how do you balance that? You're taking them out in the world. They're seeing these things. They're seeing wild things that we hadn't seen. That we can only imagine, don't want to imagine. And so how do you balance that? I hear you saying it. How do you balance that?
Well, they didn't go out by themselves. So pick and choose places for them to go. I have sons, so even if they wanted to go like to swimming, I would sometimes show up. I'll be there. And they, be behaving themselves like it's supposed to, and they will walk back. And don't get involved with other children that you know aren't good. You are in the world, but you don't have to be part of everything that is in it. So that's very important. And they had friends. They had friends in the neighborhood that, no, you cannot be with this person can come over, things like that. So we kept pretty busy. And they did things like they throw rocks or something like that. And so, and they did get into some fights in the neighborhood, but not fights where somebody had to go to the hospital. Talk to the parents and say, we're not gonna have this. So you have to do those things also.
I just want to say, I think the most important thing to give our children is knowledge. Knowledge of the world that they're living in and knowledge of Islam. I tried to arm my children with knowledge. I tried to get them ready for the world. That's all we can do as parents is prepare them. And then once we fulfill our obligation of raising them up, then the rest is left to them. And we pray that Allah continues to guide them on the right path. But I know for me, my children, they got off the path. But it wasn't because I didn't instill it in them, because I did. So that's all we can do. But you have to, everybody on this planet is affected by the times that we live in. And so with that being said, we have to teach our children about the world that they live in and about Al-Islam. And without knowledge, they're not going to have, if they have knowledge, then they'll be protected. But without knowledge, there's no protection.
I'm reflecting on what you're saying. We do arm our children with knowledge, and that is important. But everybody is their own person. And even though our children may not always do what we like for them to do, the fact that, 'cause I have 5 children, and I know I talk about it. You know me, I'm just going to say whatever it is. But one thing I know, regardless of what they do, not one time have they ever said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not who Allah is. They never will ever reject that. And so even when they're doing something they know that's not right and something, they know why. Because like I told them early on, I said, you have to understand the difference. I remember my oldest son who said, I don't understand. My friend did much worse and he did this. I said, the difference between you and him, you know better.
Right.
And he had no one to guide him. I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us our punishment based on what we know. And even though you're young, you still knew better. And even though, and I think I still remember when, the girls wearing the scarves and their friends started wearing the scarves. I still remember, Imam Sahir, remember I had you sign the letter. We had to send the letter to IHSSAA for Iman to wear her scarf so she could play, what was it? What was dodgeball? What? No, not dodgeball. Volleyball. So she was the first Muslim. There are things that we have done, because just because we're covered doesn't mean we can't do things. I'm sorry, but right now I go exercise, and I'm telling you now, we dance in my exercise, and I know how to move it. Because what? You don't move this body, it'll get stuck on you. And trust me, yeah, every day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses me to wake up. I'm grateful and happy that I can at least do. Oh God, some days
You can't hardly get up.
yes, but I know that for every half a throw I can get to get that leg to kick and to get that leg to move. Okay, because nowhere does it say that this temple is something we're supposed to take care of. And that's one of the things about the reflections, because people will make things that are natural seem haram. Because I remember them saying, well, music is haram. How can that be when creation is a song? Have you not heard the birds?
Universe.
What?
Universe.
The Adhan. What? And that's what I'm saying when I think of reflections. And even with the mistakes with the children, and I tell them, I still remember my aunt saying, people only do what they know to do. So then we try to do better. That's what you do. You just try to do better. Because, what does the Quran also say? If Allah was going to punish us, how many people would be left?
None.
Okay. So, duh.
That's right. And one other thing, also, as the children grow up and go off to school, you're gonna hope and pray that they come back sane. Because they get involved in whatever is going on in school. Like one time, with my sons, they have what is called the frat things where they have these competition and whatever. So I went. Oh my God, I'll never go again. He invited me. I said to myself, why is he inviting me to come and see this talk? Because he was in the talent show. Okay. And I said, oh my goodness. He come out so loud and I said, and the place was jam packed. I said, oh my goodness, I hope we get out of here alive. And they jumping up and down and started screaming and carrying on. And one time I went to another, one time I went to a different college, went to another college, and there's this person that we knew, part of Islam, and I said, oh my goodness, they was whatever, danced up, and I slowly went up there, and then that I was in the audience, and I didn't want to see no more of what he was doing.
You were quiet about it, but you did, yeah.
And I didn't want. I said, no, I don't want to go back. I had to tell your mama that. Because, girls almost like throwing herself up on the stage. I said, no. I didn't even know. I'm here. So
The
things
village.
like that. Yeah.
Village.
Right. Yeah, I'm here. So
But just showing your face
yes.
caused him to reflect.
Yeah,
And like you were saying, that
just
they
kinda
have that
tone it down,
foundation
yeah.
and they know that, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. So
Tone it
a
down.
lot sent to him.
Yeah, that's it. Oh no, I need to go to no more. Yeah.
Yes, I was just going to say, question for the audience, can you get loud enough to?
You meant to come to the mic.
Would you have any questions?
Oh.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
First.
My name is I have a question for you,
Linda.
Sister Linda. Like, what did you mean by we have to know life is all about. Like younger
See, that's one of the things when you get, oh, you don't know what you just said. I'm not, he was asking me
What was the
people. But
question?
life is
about when I said that.
What his life was all about, in regards to growing up as a young adult or growing up as an adult? Can you elaborate a little bit? Yeah, I understand.
like as a Muslim.
Oh, as a Muslim boy, what life would be like as a Muslim boy? And a Muslim, and a mom trying to teach her Muslim son
No, like
completely.
whoever.
So you know what? That's a good question that, I'm here, maybe your brother Mustafa can elaborate on.
What I can tell you, and the brothers can tell you more, because the one thing, they always said there's a certain age when you young men need to be up under your mothers. And there's a reason for that. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you to go kill the bear. Yeah, I love saying that because y'all never know what we're talking about. And trust me, there are a lot of times we don't know what that means either. And then what else was it we're talking? And the woman was to stay at home with the home. I love that. Okay. As you grow and mature, you'll figure out what both those things mean. But in slowing the bear, that's why your voice gets deeper and you start growing and you start thinking you all that in a bag of chips. And I still remember my oldest son telling me he was so happy. He said, I'm almost as tall as you. And being the mother that I am, I said, it's okay, baby. I know how to stand in a chair with a bat. I know. I really did say that to him. Yeah, he just looked because he couldn't figure it out. Yes, that's exactly it. What you have to understand, even though it's hard to believe, we were all in your shoes once. When I say that, we weren't men, but we were young too. I know it's hard to really believe it. For some of us, it's hard for us to even remember. But I know when I was growing up, it was very different to what you're growing up, in the environment you're growing up. And let me give you a good example. I am a female. There are certain things that females go through growing up. When I was coming along, we were not taught about that. So I had people thinking they were dying because of their physical body doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it to do. And then they decided to give us health classes so we could at least understand the anatomy of the body. They now give you all this, but you all have the internet. Sometimes the stuff is good and sometimes the stuff is bad. And I know sometimes you all don't feel comfortable in talking to your parents, because sometimes parents, because my friend told me the other day, she said, but remember, they didn't teach us nothing, so we didn't teach. No, you have to break that cycle. If there's something you want to know, there's two imams behind you. And trust me, they know what you're going through. And even if it's embarrassing, trust them to guide you in the best of ways. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you're going through. But you need to talk to somebody. Because when I was working, I worked in a facility that when people broke the law, they had to come through our program. And I saw a lot of Muslims. People don't know that because it was my job and I never discussed that. But you need to understand, and you need to be armed with understanding when you're in a situation where they've got drugs and they've got alcohol. I am so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I remember as a teenager, I grew up with the television showing you that someone with class would sit on a bar stool, a woman that is, cross her legs with a cigarette in her hand and alcohol in front of her. So at 16, because at 16 you think you're all that in a bag of chips. See, nothing has changed. Trust me. I had my first cigarette. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was merciful because I thought it was disgusting in my own self. And I thought, who does this? This is retarded. I also had my first drink. My children can't believe this because of the way I'm doing now, but I said, yeah, it had to happen somewhere. And I remember thinking, who drinks this stuff? It's disgusting. I'm grateful we didn't have wine coolers. Maybe I might have liked it. I don't know what a wine cooler is. The alcohol back then, oh, thank God, that stuff would paint off a wall. And that's why I couldn't understand why people were alcoholics. And a lot of my classmates were alcoholics. I thank God every day for that. And drugs, okay, who wants to take something and you're not in control of what you do? There are consequences to those kind of things, but don't think you're the only one who is being tempted. It's all about what you do. And if you even if you make the mistake of trying it, I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you to come out of it alive. Because everybody that makes that decision doesn't always make it out alive. Because look at all these children that try drugs for the first time and their bodies can't take it and they die immediately. Trust me, whatever it is that you're going through, and when I say that, do not think for one moment that just because we're Muslims, there are things that are not good, don't happen in our homes. We have abuse. We have other things that happen that are horrendous, that happen in our homes. So never think, whatever it is, talk to somebody that can help you. Because if you don't, my education, I call it the alley education, because the girls would be in the alley trying to figure it out. Wait a minute, what? She kissed and got pregnant? Oh, God. That was so much further from the truth. That was the craziest thing. But it's true. That was the environment. And when you're not taught properly, you do dumb things. So whatever it is, and I with my children, I let them do things. I didn't realize I was unleashing some stuff because I remember with my oldest son, I taught him how to catch a bus. And okay, when he found out about girls, okay, they didn't have to wait on a ride. He told me it hasn't been that long ago, maybe within the last 5 years. He said, yep, my friends was waiting on a ride. And I told him we can catch a bus. And I thought, I'm teaching him things to get around the world and be self-sufficient. And
That's what they do.
And his friends, they went everywhere because he knew how to catch a bus. So, please don't take it and do that. We try so hard.
Like you said, you couldn't hold it back though. You couldn't not
No,
teach
no,
them.
because life is there, and you have to understand it will knock you down. But just know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never places on us more of a burden than we can bear. And I know there are plenty of days when I keep thinking, I just feel like that there's too much burden. And I know we all do. And you're a young person and you all don't know nothing about burdens, but y'all get a hangnail and y'all think the world has come to an end. So we know that. We've been there too. Trust me.
But for them, it's a burden.
It is. Exactly. And that's why you need to find somebody that you can talk to.
That's so true.
You can even ask me, even though, oh God, I'll just do myself. But I have sons who have no problem talking to me.
Can I reiterate one thing you just said, that Allah does not put a burden on you that you not have to speak to bear? But just be aware that there's times sometimes that Allah will bring someone in there to help you bear with it. Okay. So you don't give up. You say, oh Allah, I just can't take it anymore. And I know you say you don't give me the strength that I can bear, but can I bear this? And then all of a sudden you have sister so-and-so come in, or brother so-and-so, or even your sibling come in, they're helping you bear it. You just don't see it, but they're helping you bear with that situation.
But you know what? A lot of times too, on that point, we also put burdens on ourselves that we can't bear. Allah does never put a burden on us. We put the burdens on our own self. And that's what we have to understand. And when we do that, sometimes there is no help. Sometimes there is none. And there's I can't remember what surah it is in the Quran, but it says something to this effect: when you turn away from Allah and you don't heed His signs, there will be no help from outside. that means nobody can help you but Allah. You have to turn to Allah, sincerely repent, and seek forgiveness. And that's the only help. That's the only time when you get sincere help, is when you're sincere.
We have a question online, blog. Satana. You are on, Sister Satana. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm enjoying these sisters so much. Reflection of all of it. Yeah. In the end, I wanted to read a little thing that I wrote about us as women. My name. Can I do that now?
Go right ahead, sister.
Okay. Women are the vessels that hold the water of human morality that man looks into and sees his reflection. Women stand so that man can kneel at the foot of paradise and raise their minds to build the ships that will sail us into a heavenly destiny. Women are the ambassadors of Allah made in heaven and sent to guide man to a destiny of our God-given rights. Women are the human development specialists that give and teaches compassion to men. Women are the emotional and rational element that balances the rational and emotionality in men. Women are the carriers of the unfinished product that man makes into the completion of the next living soul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reflecting on the conversation we were having about growing up. Don't be too quick to grow up.
That's right.
You have people, parents who are much older than you, who have been through things. Like you said, nobody's perfect. One time I was working in Indianapolis, driving back and forth to my hometown, Muncie, Indiana, and wow, I turned 21. So I said, "Oh, I'm going to go into the liquor store because I turned 21 and I can legally buy me something." And me and my friend, she was younger, so I did that, and I took a look. I said, "Oh no." First of all, I spent my money. It tasted awful. And I knew her mother drank. So I said, "Here, you can take it to your mother." Because I said, "Oh no," because I should have known better, because I lived 3 houses down from the corner where the liquor store was on the other side. And I see people walk back and forth, and they gave me good advice. That one time I didn't take it, but I learned from it. I said, "Baby, don't ever drink. Don't spend your money." And I said, "So why are you still drinking? Don't ever drink." I said, "Okay." I mean, because I see them, as they come back and forth. And you have to learn from your mistakes. Don't keep on trying to do the same thing over and over again. You make yourself like the alcohol. You make yourself like the cigarettes. Because it'll ruin you. That's the main thing.
I have a question. And also those who are on Blog Talk, if you have a question or comment, press 1 on your phone and we bring you into the conversation. The question I wanted to ask the panel, Savior's Day began concept within the nation of Islam. But it's Savior's Day in its meaning and purpose bigger than the nation of Islam. That's because you read about Savior's Day concept with purpose bigger than the nation of Islam.
Bigger.
And it's so
Yes,
happy.
ma'am. Yes.
I think it's because it's bigger because it's not about just one entity. It encompasses all or everybody. It serves as a lesson for us to see Savior's Day as a day for us to come together as a people, but also for us to be more conscious of our own salvation. Because every one of us is responsible for our own salvation. Can't nobody else, we can't live for nobody and we can't die for nobody. We have to live and die for ourselves. So with that being said, I think it's bigger than the nation of Islam. That's my reason.
Okay. As I'm sitting here reflecting, this is why I keep telling you, I keep reflecting. And I mentioned the fact that there were things that when we called it a transition, but based on the Imam Sahir stating what Savior's Day actually is, because I kept thinking, if in fact, when we change from the Nation of Islam to the next level of truly understanding Islam, and we left everything behind, I was trying to figure out, why are we doing this when we left everything behind? But I'm thinking that if in fact this is a day that we need to save ourselves, we might want to look at that which we left behind and figure out how to incorporate it into our current life. And when I say that, understand what I'm talking about. If we were taught how to do for self, and the concepts, all those concepts, just readying ourselves, just our the improvement of our morals, improvement of going from being immature to maturity, thinking of how we were cleaned up and not so much just following no one but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but not sure how the reflection will probably come in the morning and I'll say, I should have said that then. But if this is a day that we're going to continue to have, then it should be a day that from this day to this time next year, we should be able to talk about the improvements if it is a Save Your Day. So then let's look at the improvements, not only in ourselves, but in ourselves and how it's reflected in our community. If in fact we don't have transitional housing, but we need transitional housing, so then at this time next year, we need to be looking at what steps have we taken to take us one step closer to that need. If in fact we were taught in the nation to have our own businesses, then at this time next year, we should be looking at those things that will take us to the steps that put us on the road. Because I keep thinking and looking at what's around me. I know a lot about Eastern Star only because in my cycling class that I take, our instructor goes there. Jeffrey Johnson, see, I remember him as a child because he's way younger than I am. But I think that because I keep thinking some of the stuff that he's done, he's done a good job of what the nation was teaching us to do. And let me explain to you what I'm saying. He not only has all these different locations of facilities, like he's got the main branch on 30th Street. He also has a food pantry, he has a daycare, he has schools and stuff in Africa and Jamaica. He is intelligent enough to know he is not going to be here forever, and he brings other young people along, which is what we've always been taught to do. Instead of being crabs in a barrel where we pull each other down, he is always trying to do that. And I'm just using him as an example because he is not the only one. That we should be every year going forward. This panel should be about the discussions of the improvements we've made since last year. And if it's not, then what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And I think that that's the disconnect that I feel when I say what I left behind. Because I remember how I felt when it wasn't even just because I was young and full of energy and stuff, because but the spirit where we all took care of each other. We don't do that anymore. And where in Islam does it say we don't take care of each other? So I'm very confused on what we say and the things that we do. And don't get me talking about the systemic racism that exists in Islam. And I think that's what hurts the most with me, because I should feel comfortable about any Muslim from any nationality anywhere, but that is not how I feel.
That's true.
I have walked in many a masjid and thought, get me the heck out of here. And you already know that is not what I was thinking. So, I don't know. I just keep having reflections.
For me, it's a bit different because I'm not saying that things don't happen, but what I left behind need to be left behind. Build on and go forward. Because I've been many places, many messages around the U.S. I travel because you cannot expect people to be any different than what their heart is. And I'm not going to bring myself down and feel badly about it. I have gone into messages, sisters of system. So, okay. We went to Mecca. All right. We stopped last year. And the brothers had inside, right? The sisters had a little courtyard on the outside. You see where all the dust and sand had blown all off in there? And we trying to see into the message. Said, well, they got it nice over there. And so you're not going to be down on yourself about it. And also, we went to we'll see the Prophet Muhammad's grave. Sister, no sister, no sister. And so sister said, we have to wait till a certain time to go in. So, I said, if I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. So that was my feeling, but I didn't say the whole trip was not a blessed one. Because some people are going to be the way that they are. And we ran into a lot of people who were, sister, come, sister. And trying to make us feel welcome. It all depends on the person and heart. So you could be 1,000 years from now, and they probably do someone the same way. So we had to rely on Allah to give us the strength to endure, not be knocked down. We said, no, we're not taking that. So there are many things that we didn't do, and you still will. So we've been blessed to have what we have, grateful for what we got, to keep on moving.
Dieta, you had a question or comment?
I have a comment.
Would you like to come up here and, only because our cord is not as long. Make it? You're welcome to sit here if you would like.
That's what the young brother asked.
Yeah, okay.
Try to sum up. I'm gonna try to sum it up. I'm the mother of 5 men. This year, every man will make a year. 62. 60. So every year, those men will make a year. This is what I want to say. I want the same chance for 5 years. When it was time for them to make the transition to the next level, I couldn't take them home. So I lost. A female is very difficult raising men. So once they got a certain age, I lost my sons. But they still in the land of the living. And from that I'm grateful. Even when we lose, they still, and I still bear witness to the faith for them men that still exist in this land.
Yeah. Remember, Mom told us about the Abraham. That they did be raised. They take the birds for them, train them. Done that part. Go out on the hills, right? Could he be dead? This is what we get out the picture. When the call was made, all I meant to call, they come flying back.
Yes, sir. I'm still waiting.
Still waiting. They'll be okay coming.
Yeah, they may not be in their physical form, but mentally, they're there.
We have two callers on the line. We'll bring them in.
I got one question, brother, before we go to college.
Yes.
I've been waiting patiently.
Further off
Assalamu
camera, but hold on one second.
I'm talking a little loud. I'm talking a little loud.
Okay, take it.
Assalamu alaikum. We know during the time of the Nation of Islam for the sisters, it was hard on our African American sisters already. And what was said to you all to convince y'all to accept Al-Islam? You know, the brothers went out fishing, and they would make statements to the brothers that y'all being misled by the church and y'all being misled. How would the sisters come and approach y'all and talk to y'all? Because most brothers wouldn't approach sisters, right? So I'm saying, inviting y'all to Islam, inviting y'all to the Nation of Islam.
Yes, they did. They all did.
They
Yes,
did.
they are.
What was the statement that they made to y'all to convince y'all that this was the way?
Oh, yeah, so we all will.
Go ahead, Carol. Go ahead. No, you got it first.
Right here.
So the brothers went fishing for brothers and sisters.
Of course.
You got to explain what fishing is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fishing means the dog.
Yeah. No. To do that. To go bring the brothers and sisters into the temple. Bring them into the temple.
Fishing was real popular back then.
Down. Explain to what fishing was.
Let's just call it what it was.
But it's Darwin today.
It was
propagation of Al-Islam. But the thing that made me accept Islam was the treatment of the women and how we were respected. And the brothers said that they would protect us. Nobody would harm us. Nobody would disrespect us, would call us out of our name, say anything indecent to us. And then in MGT class, we were taught domestic skills. But outside of domestic skills, the thing that brought me to Al-Islam was the protection of women. And that was really.
They promised you
tough.
protection.
Yes, sir. And that you couldn't commit adultery, fornication. You had to be married, and your husband had to take care of it. He was the maintainer, provider of the family. The woman had to be protected. That's what brought me into Al-Islam.
Okay, I was a little different. Of course, I would be different. I'm that one that before I ever heard about Islam, me and a couple of my church friends, we decided to go out because that's what young people do. We would go out. You know, the rule was you go out on Saturday, you had to get up and go to church on Sunday, and that was what they did. Well, a friend, one of our male friends, and women back then, we didn't go out without a guy usually. Somebody to protect us. We weren't dating him, and he had borrowed his brother's car, and he had to take the car back. Well, he went and got his brother, and I said, well, I'm hungry. And he said, so what are you gonna eat? I said, I don't know. We were by Mr. Dan, Gay Dan. Remember, it had a different concept back then. Didn't have a clue that the hot dogs were all beef, but who knew? And I said, well, I could just get a donut or something. He said, what's it cooked in? And I said, I don't know. He said, it could be cooked in pork. And that was my introduction because this was a person who had to give us the long history of how pork was bad for us. I'm one of those kind of people. If you can give me the logic of something, I will listen and then go on with it. The moment he started telling me about the pig, I never ate pork again after that because I realized, and then I had to stop and think, what pig? Oh, sausage, not eating that. So when it came to Islam, I didn't have anybody fishing for me. I mean, and it was funny because the brothers were out there and they probably would have. But this one brother, Ahmed, he had a wife and I don't know how it was that he invited me to come to the clothing store because he said, I want you to come to this place and find out about Islam. I said, I'd already seen Muslims over on Clifton in the 2900 block. That shows you how this was back in the 60s. And my friend who lived in the area, I said, well, what is that? She said, those Muslims, they don't believe in God. No, but she said, they don't believe in God. And I thought, what? The logic didn't work for me then, and I didn't think anything of it. So that was a little bit that I knew. But I remember, I remember her looking at me like, okay, because I had on a mini skirt. And I said, well, what am I supposed to wear? And I don't remember what I had on. But I said, well, okay. So unlike the brothers, because they did fish, mind you, and they would tell you all the wonderful things like you said, I never got that. I was just told to come, and I went. I listened, and I said, my logic said, okay, that makes sense. That makes all the sense in the world. I said, oh, that's why when I go to church, I can't figure it out, and it makes no sense to me. It's just like somebody pulled up, turned on the light. Ta-da! So it was different for me. So even though the brothers were out fishing, and trust me, now I will say this. So that if you were single, it was like, there was always a lot of brothers. They were always looking for wives. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So,
True.
I had some friends, one I grew up with, and she had a younger sister, she had older sisters, quite a few of them. And older sister had embraced Islam. So this tell you how good it was, you respect it, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, that's my first introduction. That so well, I guess I'll try it. Well, of course, I went a couple of times to masjid, and I was not properly dressed, but I did learn, to dress better and come to my oneness, the oneness, God in you, and you can't go wrong. Everything will be good. You have everything you need. Well, it's a little bit far fetched. Anyway, it was a good life for me, and I stayed with it. Of course, sometimes you first go around and your marriage don't work so good, so you move on. And so, that was
we're
wrong.
not going to talk about the marriages and them not
And
working.
so,
Not with me sitting in the middle.
so anyway, so you grow and you evolve and you have your family, so that's grandchildren right there. And that, so, you know, like I say, you make the best of what you have. And like, things don't work out, God says, figure it out. Nothing's gonna fall into your lap. You have to work at it also. You know, everything's not peaches and cream. So you gotta figure it out. And don't blame the law for your disappointments and your failures. You get right back up again and you start all over again. That's a long way to go.
Yeah, if I may, that we have two callers. First caller here, 856. Your own word for your people. And give us your name and city. And your question and comment, please. All right. What's wrong? Good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. You a little bit, you a little bit soft.
So did they send the sisters out to invite sisters in here?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You have a question?
I
What'd you
just,
say? Did they?
sisters,
Officially.
One more caller here.
Oh, okay, we have one more caller.
You know,
Walaikum
Imam
salam.
Muhammad, he said, he not only was telling us to do for self, but love ourselves. If you don't love yourself, you can't love me. You can't love anyone. You have to love yourself. And we are a unified that Allah made in this country called America, right? You may change it, who knows? However, his leadership, Imam Muhammad's leadership, made us the people who we are, and we've got to recognize who we are and love ourselves, not someone from. When you go on high, you could actually see sisters that designate different countries by the way they dress. I don't want to represent somebody from another country. I am right here. This is my country, and I dress just like this. That's all I say.
Okay, we have another one.
Read it.
Okay, you know, I'm serious gonna read this.
Assalamu alaikum. There's a question here for Brother Kabir. He's saying, Assalamu alaikum, sisters, believers. The American culture is one of, if not the worst in the world, in understanding the Muslim women, her role in society in relation to Quran, and as defined by Imam David Muhammad, Rahimahullah, alayhi. What impact does your role potentially have on changing America's culture? Shall I read it again?
I suppose that impact, because you could be easily persuaded not to be yourself, not to have Al Islam in your life. That's, the main thing is to keep up your prayers, keep up what you need to do, fasting and learn about your own faith, your own religion. It's an ongoing thing. You learn something all the time.
You free to read it again?
I would like you to read it again, only because of,
Okay, I'll read it. Okay, I'm gonna read it again. The question again reads, Assalamu alaikum, sisters believers. The American culture is one of, if not the worst in the world, in understanding the Muslim woman, her role in society in relation to Quran. And it's delivered by Imam W.D. Muhammad too. What impact does your role potentially have on changing America's culture?
I think I understand what the brother is saying in terms of systemic racism. Systemic racism has we women of color at the bottom. If that's where he's coming from in terms of America and how we are viewed as a women, period. We're at the bottom. So let's just not, we don't even have to just look at Muslim women. Because I remember someone saying that we didn't have any rights. I said, you understand that in America on the books, and they never take laws off the books, horses had more rights than women. So when you mentioned Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his role, one of them was to explain to the men as well as the women what our role was, because for some reasons people didn't seem to understand. And I'm sorry to say, in 2024, I don't think y'all understand. And I say that by the fact that when I walk into a masjid and we got this little crappy little room, you don't understand our worth. And all I can think of is the fact that we carry life. And before that embryo turns into anything else, it is female before it becomes a male. And the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to be the carriers of the future. Without us, you all don't exist. So when you talk about that, we have to first understand who we are. I remember being taught the fact that the more you higher you raise our skirts, the lower the morals are. If we as women do not understand our worth, trust me, then you are going to fall into that schism of being worthless. Women are not traffickers of women, men are. As a Black woman, this is why I say when I talk about reflections, I reflect on a lot of stuff. And I resent the fact that I was made to feel worthless. I remember it as a child. I remember it right now. And the fact that I can't even come to my own masjid and feel my worth hurts me more than anything. So when the brother talks about how America treats us, how about how we're treated in the masjid? America, this society is acting the way it is. It was created on evil. It will function on evil. Think about it. There were 250 million Indians here. And they're gone, maybe 100,000 or left. Where'd they go? Okay, I know some of y'all probably seen that recent movie because they're finally starting to tell, when you lie and you cover up, it has to become uncovered. But the reality is that they talk about how free this country is. It's only free for some. Yeah. And that's the ones who are standing on your neck. The people whose necks being stood on are not free, and that would be us. So when you talk about how they call us an angry Black woman, okay, what?
We got a lot to be angry about.
We weren't here, you wouldn't be here. And then you still punish us. When I always said, well, if there's something wrong with the child, look at the mama. Because we gonna get blamed for it anyway. Okay, daddies, where you at? And when I say daddies, You don't have to be the biological father. Brothers, where you at? I had 3 sons. Where you at? Where were you? And it's horrible when I think about someone who did step up and help one of my children. He was a Christian. I said, well, you more Muslim than the Muslims because you saw that my child needed something as a teenager and you recognized it and you tried to put him on the right path. And it did help for a minute, but whenever you get through with it, women still exist and we are still the temptation because y'all still blaming us. You know, Adam and Eve with the apple. Y'all need to get over that too. Don't let me get started on that one.
Yeah.
Y'all really don't want to hear my version of that. Okay.
That'll be our next topic.
Okay.
You can't forget what I was going to I think that dialogue is very important. Bringing the conversation up to talk about the women in Al-Islam, presenting the proper image for the Muslim woman. The Muslim woman should present the proper image of a Muslima. That's the best dawah that we can give if we can't talk to people, but dialogue would be next. I find that whenever I get a chance and I can drop some seeds of wisdom and some knowledge, that's what I do. I don't care if it's in the grocery store, paying a bill. I don't care where it is. Whenever I get the opportunity, I try to pass some knowledge and some Quran on to people. And I think that's just the only way that we're going to do it. Because, you know, people, if they don't know, then they don't have proper information because they don't have the right knowledge. So it's our responsibility to give them the right knowledge, present the proper image of the Muslim woman, and to get that dialogue, keep talking about it. Keep talking.
You have a question?
Yeah,
Would you guys come over here because we can't.
I just wanted to first, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I just wanted to thank you first so much for sharing your experience, knowledge, your sincerity. After listening to you, I belittle every effort I have done. And I really think it's waste of resources for the Muslim community. Yeah, I'm short of words to thank you and appreciate you, but I will say Jazakumullah. That is the only thing I can say, and that's the maximum I can say. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to worthy of bless you as much as you deserve. The question I have for you, and it really breaks my heart for sisters, even though Allah honor you in the Quran. When Arab used to consider women liability, Allah considered them assets. And Allah considered them gifts. He says in the Quran, يَهَبُ لِمَن يَشَاءُ إِنَاثًا. He mentioned first that Allah will gift women, female, first. And the Quran doesn't put words in that way. You put women first because they're valuable for Allah. And I really cannot wait to hear your version of the story about the apple. But definitely the Quran actually. I really cannot wait to hear your version, inshallah. And I'm coming, inshallah. But definitely it was a woman's fault, it was man's fault. Because the Quran says, Shaitan. Shaitan went to Adam first. And then when the sin came, both of them did it together. So I think if we gotta blame someone, we should blame Adam first. And at the end, Allah has forgiven all of us, inshallah. So my question to you is, how can we make sure our masajids are welcome to our sisters? I will speak about Masjid al-Fajr. I said before I would never raise fund to build a masjid, but honestly, after seeing the sisters area, I said that will need to be demolished because it definitely is not a welcoming place. Honestly, it's not even a welcoming place. It is very disrespectful. I speak about Masjid al-Fajr. What advice do you have for us as imams to make sure that the messages are welcome in the meanwhile before we change the building, okay? But in the meanwhile, how can we make sure we are listening to our sisters, using the expertise that you have in an effective way, not once a year, but every day.
Yes, there's a lot of work to be done. I've been through several masjids. One nicely built in Muncie. And my experience, it was the new winter time and the snow and ice was on the steps, both steps. No, the other side was cleaned off. And so, so I was trying to get through on the brother side, directly go. And then I knew this brother, kind of raised with. And I told him, I said, no. I complained. I said, brother sides are clean now. I said, only two of our sisters were coming to Juma. I said, the sister side not. I said, the sister side should be clean. And then I didn't like it because, like I said, we were in separate rooms. And back there, at those times, the threat was on the masjids. I said to myself, I said, there's only two of us over here. Although there was a screen and we could see what's going on the other side. But brother couldn't see what was going on this side because anybody could have walked in, and caused havoc. Could have been hurt. And so those things need to change. Another masjid in another city where we were very uncomfortable because we had to go around through the hallway and down some stairs like in the basement. So there again, someone could have attacked us, and no one would have known. So those things need to change. If you say, paradise lies at the foot of the mother, and we had to bring our children, some of us who have children at that age, down to the basement, anything can happen. Or close off to another room. So those things need to be changed. It also need to be changed also because many of people are masjid take their lead from other masjids from overseas. So they need to stop that. So I had many experiences, several. So that's what I had to say about that.
Sister Carol. Wisconsin. Same what you just said, same identical thing.
Would you repeat what you just said?
We're walking, and what I just said, the same thing, you just to be isolated, anything can happen. And no one would even know.
So I'm gonna let you speak for okay. Just one moment. I was just thinking, you were saying what do you all need to do in regards to that the main thing is to remember us. We're here. We are your mothers, we're your sisters, we're your children. We are part of you. If something happens to us, you'll be devastated because we're gone. So remember us and cherish us because we are here not for ourselves, we are here for you all also. So cherish what you have because when it's gone, it is gone. So that is just my thought on that. What do? Remember us. And I hate to say remember because it should be in the forefront of your mind. But if that's the word I have to use, then I'll use it. Remember, we are here. Sometimes we are quiet, and sometimes we are vocal, but we are always here. We always have your back. If you have somebody have your back and take care of, has your back. And it is us, the sisters, who have your back. That's all I want to say.
Guess you don't want to hear that they can be the head as long as we're the neck.
Hey, you just say whatever you want to say, sister.
Yeah. See how well you turn without us. The sister dealt with the physical. I can go there too. But I'd really rather look at the mentality that bred that. If we don't deal with that, and I know this is where I keep stepping on toes because I know when I read the Quran, I address Allah as Allah. I give Allah no sex because that doesn't make sense. Just like I was at home and I was praying by myself and I thought, Allah doesn't view me as you all would view me. And I thought, why do I need a scarf on? Well, I'm praying to Allah in my own home.
You don't.
So then I started thinking, and I thought, what, who, and I keep asking the question, why does it reference a lot as a he? Because, you know, whenever you get through with it, if something is continuously placed in your mind, then you subconsciously begin to believe it. So if Allah is referenced as a male, then as a male, you're going to probably confuse who you are. So if you're aligning yourself with Allah, and you can't, we know that. But whenever you get through with it, we've done dumber things. Then what comes out is what we have. No respect for women. I remember being told by a male that it was because men didn't respect women because they were jealous. And I kept thinking, really? And I'm thinking of all the things women go through. We're not going to mention any of them, you know, especially that 30-day one when you're young. And I thought, why is it? And I thought, the only thing we really do, I said, is when we carry life inside of us. You all will never know what that's like. And sometimes we don't even remember how a gift that is. It's so mind-boggling to me. It's as mind-boggling as the fact that the sun hangs from the sky without strings. The fact that I'm blessed, when I'm blessed, when I open my eyes in the morning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me to wake up again. So when you talk about that, just think about it. Of course, then again, I'm still trying to figure out why we were in a pig farm when they had Eid last year. And if you're talking, yes, it was. When we were at the fairground.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was where the animals are. I said, why are we with the animals? Why didn't they go to one of the other buildings where there are no animals? Please, because y'all don't ever have women on there who think differently. Because we think about things like that. Furthermore, would y'all please figure out where y'all want us to sit? Because last year they didn't like me because they kept trying to move us. I said, I'm not moving. Y'all put the brothers in the back. And we're not even going to talk about when you had us outside that time and the brothers were under the tent and we were outside in the sun. I said, I'm never coming back. And I have yet to come back for that. Stop disrespecting us. Stop protecting the brothers. Protect us.
I'd like for us, if you can, we got 20 miles here. I'm going to go first. On Allah, in reference to he. I want, we got 20 miles here. The question asked by why is Allah reference to he? I'm going first because he's an Arabic speaking person. He's from Arabia, right? But my understanding is it's not gender, but it's more grammar more than anything else. That's my understanding. So what anything you want to say about why?
Brother Mikhail, can I just say something? I remember Imam Warthi Muhammad said one time years ago that he was used because it represents the giver of life. He, not he being male, but he means the giver of life. Like Allah is the giver of life itself. That's why he was referenced.
So in Arabic, there are only two. It's grammar, just like you said. It's a grammar matter because in Arabic there is no it. Everything has either he or she. Like for instance, the table, life is she, and human is he. And like for instance, the table doesn't have gender, and we still say she. She's not female or male. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, we use huwa, it means he, but he is not subject to gender. If there was gender neutrality in Arabic grammar, and the angels are actually at the end they're she, even though they don't have genders. So it's just not a gender war, it's just grammar.
You got two people online.
It's 3:40.
340? Oh, my goodness. Okay, we got two people online.
So Sister Lemon was saying, when you start building the Messiah, think of the women first when you first start building it.
Right.
Then out front.
Right.
We try to say, then on this.
Right.
One thing the woman change.
Regular
That's
time.
another one.
I have the look of general right here. 2012. They asked ma'am the question about what is the ma'am? Is it Savior, S-A-V-I-O-R, yes, or is it S-A-V-I-O-R-S? Yes, ma'am, it was, they had an old print. Ma'am said it's Savior, S-A-V-I-O-R-S. So we need to save ourselves first. And this really, ma'am, some of things S-A-V-I-O-R-S, some of things S-O-V-I-O-R. God is now explanation way back then. Point is, I just want to bring that up. That this is God what you now told say, say you.
Right. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Yeah, we told in the Quran, save yourselves and your families. So this is what we really reiterate what the Quran says. So thank you very much. For our next caller here. Yes, sir. Thank you. We go to our next caller here. Myself. Brother Mark, you're on. Mark, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. To you, Imam Nikhil Sayer, to your very distinguished, esteemed guest panelist, Mark Shahi from the SDL Gateway City of St. Louis in the Show Me State of Missouri. I want to say alhamdulillah, praise and thanks belongs to Allah first and foremost, always. And I want to say to your guest panelists, I have listened to you very attentively, empathic listening, and I have ingested and digested everything that's been said, and I have enjoyed immensely the presentation, questions that have been asked, and all. I want to ask a question where I want to say something from the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, which is the fourth surah of the Quran, as Imam Muhammad was teaching on Nafs and Wahida. He said that the Quran is commentary on the Bible, and it corrects things that was changed in the Bible. The misconception and misperception, how women have been misunderstood in all. Nafs and Wahida is properly understood. It eradicates and eliminates all those isms that have brought about exclusion and seclusion of women, even in those mosques, masjids, where they actually seclude and exclude them. That shouldn't be happening first and foremost in the community of Imam W.D. Muhammad, because in their understanding Nafs and Wahida, it is said that Allah created the human being from one single soul. One single soul. That's how we ought to see ourselves in that. And understanding that properly, it should eradicate racism with other isms such as classism, elitism, genderism, all those isms that divide us up in that regard. And I think that's very important to know and to understand. On my production on Parenting and Family Reconstruction Learning Lab, if you tune in and listen to it, a prelude I give before we even have a topic. One of the staples that we establish is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the first teacher for all of humanity. When earth comes to earth, Allah has given the honor and distinction to the woman, the mother, not only to be the first teacher, but the first leader, not only for our baby girls, but for our baby boys too. There's a sign in that. That's why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said paradise lies at the foot of the mother. It says the man and the father. And there's a difference between daddy and father. If a male is not impotent, he can be a daddy. But a father is a role and a responsibility. I would love, as Imam Muhammad has said, he's on record for saying this. He said he would want to see the voice, the mother voice in the outer society, because he believed, and I do believe too, and I think all right-minded people believe, men, we should believe that the woman, the mother can make a difference. You see, it's absence of the mother nature and the mother voice that not only should be heard inside the home, but also in the outer society. That's what my question is. There was another question that was comparable to that. So my question to you, sisters, is this. What impact do you think, and one sister, she kind of alluded to it, and I love what she said. She said wherever she goes, she's always given something from an Islamic perspective. And I get that, I understand that. I try to do it, but Muslim women are not limited. You can always leave somebody with something. I learned that from Imam Muhammad. He was very generous. So I think the mother voice needs to be heard in the outer society more, in many different ways, because we got some very learned, as I'm listening, very learned sisters in this community that can really impact even the outer society. That's my question to you. What is it that you think that could and would be helpful and impactful to the outer society hearing you all's voice, because there's misconceptions in regards to the Muslim woman. And somebody already said it. One of the sisters said it. That Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the great emancipator. Yes, he was the great emancipator, has freed us. And Imam Muhammad has done that. So you're not limited. They said the only thing that a Muslim cannot do on Friday is to be the critique to live with the Kuba. But outside of that, she can do whatever it is that Muslim men can do. That's including teaching this thing, this way of life. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Keep up the great work, sisters.
Further question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Just a question.
Just the question.
The question I have is in regards to having the mother voice we talking about in terms of it being savior. And I know that most of us, we know that the first family, obviously, after yourself, you're going to save your immediate family, starts at home. But we know we have to see the outer community as a part of the human family. And so my question to you is, what is it that probably could be done more to hear the mother voice in the outer society? That's my question to you.
Only, I suppose, be aware of what you can do in the the wisdom. And be able to listen to people on the other side, and taking what they have to say.
In terms of myself, I've always been one of those people who, I mean, I've always been out there. So if there's gonna be a Muslim in the room, it'll probably be me. It has been me in the past. And I always try to keep my Islamic me out in front of the me, and then that other me. But sometimes they all bleed through, especially when there's an injustice. But if we're not out there in a society, then how is anyone going to actually see us? Nowhere does it say that we can't do stuff. I don't know. I really love that song, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. And I really thought that the other day when I shoveled my sidewalk and part of my deck in the steps. So, and cleaned out my own car. So I'm one of those unusual sisters, and I've just always had to be out there. And I don't know if it's just because of the decisions that I've had to make, because I've always worked, I've always volunteered, I'm passionate about my neighborhood where I live, and I got tickled because one of the women at one of the churches thought I belonged there. And I could never figure that out, but I thought that was cute. I said, oh, so we dress like this at the church. But, I just always try to just maintain what we're about. And, we don't want to mistreat people, although sometimes maybe something that you say may come off a little wrong or off, and that's not your intentions. But if we're not out there, then people are not going to really know. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm out there, to let them know. You all say that we're second-class citizens. Well, I'm here to show you not the case.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on what Sister Linda said. We just need to be heard. Speak up, trust your knowledge, trust what Allah has given us. As long as this the criterion, the Quran is our criterion, trust our knowledge and just speak up when we have to say something. Don't be afraid. And demand to be heard. I'm gonna demand to be heard. When I got something to say, you're gonna listen to it.
We have one more question.
Yes, just one fast observation. Sisters cannot be Imam, but the name Imam came from whom?
Okay. So I have a response to that.
And you are, my name is Iman. I'm here in Indianapolis, and I'm on the panel. So thanks, Sister Linda. But quickly, I want to let you know, as a youth growing up in Islam, going to MTI as a kid, we were able to navigate some of that, because they would bring kids from other schools, and the kids would have questions for us because we didn't look like them. But I mean, our classrooms and everything looked the same. We didn't dress the same. We didn't go through some of the things, some of the classes that they got to go through. So we were able to answer those questions and show our similarities. But then as soon as I went to a public school, and I'm very thankful, Mom, that I got the chance to go to Muslim school, because as soon as I went to the public school, kids had questions too. And so I was able to answer them and then ask them questions, because I'm like, how does that not, seem normal? But whether you live and go to school as a kid with your hijab or not, your Islam will show. It'll show through your character. It'll show through your responses. So just do not be afraid to live out loud as a Muslim. Please, when another kid expresses their love for their religion, express your love for your religion too. It's normal. Like, normalize being Muslim, and then you'll be able to probably be at peace and be at ease with yourself, because it's not a burden, and you won't look that different. You should look at another kid, and they'll accept you, and things like that. So that's my response. You know what else to learn. You know what? Yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you all, panelists, Sister Linda, Sister Carol, Sister Hamida for coming. Oh, we have another question here, real quick before we leave. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Layla and I am his daughter. But I actually wanted to say something about the brother Imam said earlier. When he asked what the masjids could do to make things easier and more enjoyable for the sisters in the masjid. I have 3 little kids. I have this one right here. She's about to be 4. I have one who's 2.5 and another one who's 10. So when we were in DC, like, and even here, we're always trying to come to Juma prayers. But every time we'll go to, depending on the community, I would go to prayer on that Juma, for example. So every time we would go and we'll have like our little kids who are running everywhere, and kids will always be kids. We don't leave the house and tell them. So when we get there, make the most noise you can. I promise you guys, we don't do that. We even tell them to please behave, but they're kids and they do what kids do. But we have a lot of people who become mean to us because of all the things that the kids are doing, and we just want to be part of the community. We just want to pray. That's why we came. We didn't come there to make people feel uncomfortable. We are even the first ones to feel uncomfortable, honestly. And I have had, alhamdulillah, some sisters who would see how uncomfortable I am, and I even went and said once that I'll just stop coming to Juma prayer because the kids, I don't know, it just makes me not even focus on my prayer. And she told me, please come. Please don't stop coming. Yeah. They are our kids. And if you stop coming because of them, then when are they going to learn to come to prayer? That's right. And she told me, even if you can't pray, I will watch them while they're praying.
To help with the children.
Yes.
Right.
And even here we have Sister Carol, she does that a lot. And I want her to know that I appreciate that. Most of the time when I come to Juma and I'm trying to pray, she won't be here with everybody praying. She will stay in the other room with these kids, playing with them. And when it's time to pray, sometimes she's able to pray. Other times she's not even able to follow the prayer because she wants me to be here. So I don't know what exactly will need to be done, but find a way to make it easy for mothers who wants to come.
With the children.
Just need their own room. Just need their own room.
Yes.
I mean, there should be a daycare in every.
I agree.
Definitely.
I agree.
I'll let you, sit there today for whatever reason.
Okay, alhamdulillah, takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu
Akbar. Have a lot of wisdom. And in different formats, so we have to do this citywide.
Can I actually offer to host this in Masjid Al-Fajr?
Welcome. Will you give us a message?
Invitation, yes.
Yes.
It would be an honor, honestly, yes.
Next year?
Even next year, sooner actually. I
Sooner.
wanted to do something sooner,
You call it
but
different name.
definitely I can say from now, if you wanted to do it next week, I would say it's the invitations.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, mention the Fajr, hotel. Okay, mention it down too. So. Okay, another question from Facebook.
I couldn't see it. Got my glasses on.
I can only see it myself. I've got glasses on. Okay, just comments, just a lot of positive comments.
Okay.
So I do get one to say, in closing, the concept of Savior's Day, we be able to bring it to like a more modern, if you will, application and understanding. It's an ongoing process that we have to be conscious of and teach the wisdom of it, of the purpose of it to the next generation, so that they would know the importance of it. What Allah has given to every human being, in our very nature, what we need to be successful. His mercy, He will not send us here and be failures. So, Satan is busy, and we got to be busy. And so, and we don't fight Satan. He's too ugly. Fight the schemes.
Yes, sir.
The Savior day. Fight the schemes of the Satan. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for impromptu, wonderful moderators. Did an excellent job. My wife does an excellent job. I tell on her, right? I guess being nice. I said, what you gonna speak on? She told me, in a nice way, no, not good. I left her alone. She did an excellent job. Linda done an excellent job, and she kept the focus. And then some. See, so look just at that, stop there, look at the other aspects. We appreciate that forthrightness. Forthrightness. Yes, she was right, she went forth. Alhamdulillah. Sister Hamida, your years of experience really shine through. The wisdom you share with us, your life experiences, all your life experiences. There's a lot of wisdom in what you share. And if we just listen to it. Brother Salim, I'll give what he says. Look at that word, listen. He says 2 words. He said, those 10 being conscious. Right? He said, it is a list of 10. We should be conscious of it. We listen to what you all shared today. Thankful. To our listening audience, to our Facebook audience, Zoom didn't quite take off to the thing. Zoom did not Zoom today. Okay, but it will be saved on the Facebook page. It will be saved on YouTube. Under my name, it will be saved. Thank you, ma'am. They don't need to come and be with us. So today, we have snacks in the back room. Those who are present.
People already been snacks.
Snacks and more. Okay. And we're gonna sign off. Everyone, we're gonna close with Brother Mustafa. You wanna do a closing prayer? Do our first.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين تكبير الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Sisters, it was nice seeing y'all again. Y'all did a good job. I was laughing because I said, look at how we lined up. She's the oldest, I'm in the middle. She's the oldest. Yes, and I'm older than you. See, we done sat here too long now.
Oh, okay. You speak man. Where you going? Oh, no, I don't know.
You know, she told me it's a lot. Oh, yeah, I go to Friday, Monday to Wednesday.
You're one and the middle.
Yeah.